Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com. I'm 82 years old and very forgetful, and I ride a trike around, an E-Trike, and tell stories of things that have happened in my life, called my life story. And if you're interested in starting with the first one, at the end of this video, there's a link where you can click on and start at the very beginning and look at all the videos. Right now I was going to go across the street here into the park, but there's people that are pulling wagons and walking their dogs, so we're just going to go down the street here and find some place else to go. So there's the park over there, and there's the people. So let's go down here. Anyway, I'm to the point in my life where I'm in my 50s. I'm now working at a Walmart store in Pasco, Washington, and I live about 2 blocks away from the store, so it's a nice walk, easy walk. And I met a lot of people there. The manager of the department, his name was Marshall, and he was a super nice guy. And then there was this other older lady that had a limp that worked there in the hardware department. That's where I worked, and so we were the ones that were there the whole time that I was working at Walmart. So, but my manager, Marshall, he had to have a knee operation. Excuse me, had to have a knee op. Actually, I keep saying that, but he had to have a knee replacement, which meant he was going to be out of work. He won't be there for 6 weeks. And so he knew me well enough by that time that he wanted me to take over and do the managing for him while he was gone. Now the manager gets to come to work Monday through Friday, and comes to work at 7 a.m. and gets off at 4, just like a really nice job. If you're not a manager, you work but anyway, you come in at 10, get off at 3, or you come in at 3 and get off at 10, things like that. So that was kind of a nice job. So anyway, the first time that I came in, I don't know if it was a Monday morning or what, but I came in and there was this bearded guy down on his knees stocking the shelf, because at Walmart, if they're not open 24 hours, then throughout the night they restock the shelves. And those are called night stalkers. Kind of a deceptive term. But anyway, I'm sorry. So, and there was this bearded guy. He's, that crouched down. He's putting stuff on the shelf and stuff like that, like you would do. And so I came up and I introduced myself, and he said, "I'm Dwayne," and so that was but the thing is as he was working and getting angry, he used bad language. Okay, the same language that, remember if you've been watching my videos, when I was working at the Christian radio station, and the pastor, I confronted the pastor about how he was misstating the finances, and he didn't like that, so he used all kinds of words on me, the same kind that Dwayne used when he got mad. And so Dwayne could tell that I really wasn't, didn't really like that language that he was using. And so, I don't know, a couple weeks went by, and we visited and everything. He was a nice guy, because he'd be there when I got there, and then he'd leave. And so we'd visit a few minutes. So anyway, one morning, a few weeks into it, I said, "Dwayne, your language has changed. You're not using the language you used to use." And he says, "Yeah, I could tell that that you weren't interested in hearing that kind of language. So I'm not going to use it around you anymore. And so that was nice, and I thanked him for that. And so we got going on a good relationship then. And as time went by, even after the 6 weeks of me coming in early in the morning, we became friends. One time I came in and he said, you know about computers, don't you? And I said, yeah. He said, I need some help with my computer. So I said, okay. So I got his address, went over to his house, and I got to his house. Now, Dwayne, he loved airplanes. He showed me an album that he had that had actual photographs of World War II airplanes. That was his hobby, is collecting, and they were actual photographs. I don't know where he got them, but he had bunches of them. I don't know, I'll say at least 100, okay, of actual photographs. So then he opens up this book that he got. It's about, we're about 7 miles from an airport. So somebody's going to see somebody and saying goodbye to somebody else. Anyway, I hope you can hear me okay. So he shows me this book about airplanes, and then he shows me the acknowledgement, and he was so proud because he said, there I am, because they used his pictures, or a lot of his pictures, in the putting together of that airplane book. And so I thought that was pretty cool that he loved airplanes. And then also sitting around his house, he had model airplanes that you can buy, plastic models you can buy at the store. But he didn't just glue them together. He put them together, and then he very carefully put the right markings on them, painted them and everything like that. So anyway, so we got to his computer, and sure enough, it had all kinds of viruses, and I asked him, and he had a son that was like in his early 20s, and I never got to see him, but his son used his computer. And after all my knowledge working with computers, I can tell you that if you want a virus on your computer, go to a porn site. Everybody who I've helped with computers, I got another story I got to tell you, but I'll just run out of time if I don't get started here. So anyway, I'll try to remember it next time. Anyway, so I could see that he needed antivirus on his computer. So I don't remember. Next time I came over the next day or something, I had bought a copy of Norton antivirus and installed it on his computer and started running it. And the virus that he had was so clever that as it was going along, it says, "Do you want to keep this file or delete it?" Well, so I thought if an antivirus found that, we want to delete it. And then another one, "Do you want to delete this?" Yes. "Do you want to delete?" After about a half a dozen of deleting files, I realized when I looked at what he was deleting, the antivirus would find them, and then the virus would would say, "You need to delete this one," and it was deleting files off of his computer. So anyway, the whole thing ended up with me doing a restoration on his computer, and we restored it and put the Norton antivirus on it, and then it was working fine. So anyway, and as time went by, we became good friends. Anyway, he had never been for an airplane ride, and he loved airplanes, and so he one day told me that they found that he's got cancer, and it was like, I don't know what stage it was. I don't even remember him saying anything about it, but he said it was serious. And so I thought, okay. In Seattle, my brother had taken me to the Flight Museum there in Seattle, and it was really a nice museum. There's the Saturday morning music crew, background from my video. And so my brother had taken me, because my brother lived in Seattle, and he loved airplanes. Of course, he was a pilot too. And so I thought, I got to get Dwayne over to Seattle and look at the Museum of Flight that's there at Boeing Field. And so I asked him if he'd like to do that. He'd like to go for an airplane ride, period. So I picked a Saturday that we could both go, and we got him to the airport. We took off. We had to fly across the Cascade Mountains and get over to Boeing Field. Well, generally speaking, it's always clear on the east side of the Cascades because the moisture's gone, because it drops it into the mountains as it rises coming from the ocean. But you never know what the weather's going to be on the west side of the Cascades. And so we got over the mountains and actually followed Snoqualmie Pass, got over the mountains, and on the other side it was overcast, and and so it was just like there's no way we can land because I didn't have the instrument rating. So then I'm getting sidetracked here. So then there was a little field along the freeway called DeVere Field that we could land at, because I contacted my brother on ham radio, and he said that the forecast called for clearing as time went by. And so I thought, okay. So we came back to DeVere Field was right on top of the pass. And so we came back to the pass from being out over the overcast, and I found, because it wasn't overcast at the top of the mountain, so I found the field, and I put it on, I got on final coming in, and of course with this weather like we had, the wind was terrible, and unfortunately it was a headwind coming, but the thing is, we had to come down through a cut in the trees, and then also the wind was gusting. And so, see if I can go here. Okay, and it was and that's one of the landings that I will never forget, because it was one of the most difficult. Be coming down, and then all of a sudden it would lift you up, and then all of a sudden it would drop you down because of the turbulence coming over the top of the mountain. And so it was a very difficult landing. And then when we got on the ground, it was still windy. And of course, I had to taxi back to the other end of the field so I could take off when the time came. And so it was a memorable landing. Anyway, so we got out there. I think there was a little restaurant there at that time nearby. I can't remember. I know there was one, but I don't remember if Dwayne and I went to that restaurant or not. But but we waited, and I got on ham radio with my brother, and he says, well, it's not clearing up yet, and I call him back in a half an hour. It's not clearing up yet. And so we'd already spent a lot of the day flying around over the overcast and then coming back and landing. And so as the hours went by, and we just waiting up there at the top of the pass. By the way, here's a picture of Dwayne standing by my plane. And now remember, he had cancer. So finally we decided, well, it's not going to happen, so let's get in the plane and take off. And the sun was getting low on the horizon. And so as we were coming up and climbing, and the sun was shining in the cockpit, he was taking treatment for his cancer. and all your hair comes out. Well, he had this heavy beard, he had the long curly hair, and hair was floating all, when the sunshine came in, you could just see hairs floating all over inside the cab. So, and we had to land at Yakima and refuel because of all the time we'd spent flying around. So we landed at Yakima and we refueled, and then we took off and got back and landed at Pasco. So Dwayne got to go for his ride. Well, then he finally had to quit working at Walmart and was just kind of like sickly. And then finally he went to the hospital, and so I would go visit him. I should have visited him more than that, but I'd go visit him at least once a week. And let's see, I'm trying to make it up a hill here. I go see him. I should have done that more, because now that I'm older and wiser, once a week really wasn't enough for a friend of mine in the hospital. So I went once a week, and I think it was in April of whatever year that was. I went, and I'd always go in the evening, and so I went over, and the nurses got to know me. So I went over and asked if I could go to Dwayne's room, and they said, well, he's gone. He passed away. And so that was sad, except for the fact that during our friendship, I had shared my faith with him, and he was real positive and accepted that. And he told me he did. I didn't even ask him. He just said, he went and made the choice, or trusting in the Lord. And so I get to see him someday, and get to hug him and be glad to see him. So that's Dwayne's airplane ride. Sometimes, I cried at the end of Toy Story 3. So that's just the kind of character I am. So anyway, getting up to a busy street here, I'm going to have to be kind of careful. We'll get this done. There's where I get off the sidewalk, and then I go over here. All right. So anyway, that's the story of my good friend Dwayne. Really a super friend. I want to thank you for watching my videos, and God bless.